We can fight now.
Coming.
That's good. Yeah. Let's go. I go.
Has flash.
I go.
Let's go. Talking about it, but the Herald has already been claimed by the side of Cloud9, and now FLICKR can only knock away Fudge. It's looking a lot like deja vu. Works out well. Waits till the rocks disappear to start using his dashes there in his ulti. Flashes away from the seismic shove. Gory is taken low. Berserker wins the fight. Close the ward down to the box. Oh, Berserker, he's been caught. FLICKR with the flash at the engage with the shutdown and sticks there with the damage. Cloud9 has already lost the fight. There's no way in hell you win it without Jinx. FLICKR just won this game for the Golden Guardians.
Welcome back to MSI 2023 from the Copper Box Arena here in London. Golden Guardians strike back, keeping their tournament hopes alive. And I think they can thank Vedi for one of the biggest caster curses I have ever seen in my life. Before the clip I'm about to show you, I heard the following words. As long as Berserker stays alive, Cloud9 have a chance. Berserker's at full build. Berserker's doing so much damage. Those words left his mouth, and bring this up on screen. Chat, break down for me exactly what went wrong in this final fight.
It was a Gigaflank. So essentially what happened is M&S had just been right here, and he took this path to this moment, and FLICKR came all the way from bot lane after clearing the wave. So you understand why Berserker would think this is a safe recall, because he considers this whole zone lit up and checked, because M&S literally just walked there. But if we roll the clip, you can see how none of that ends up being true. He also walked through with the sweeper, so there's nothing that tells Berserker there should be a man there, other than maybe FLICKR cleared the bottom wave 20 seconds ago. Flash stun, no possible way of reacting, no QSS, no cleanse, dead, over.
I still blame Vedius. I think he set it up. I think he was the one that put bad juju into the into the universe. Orgs, okay, the final fight will play out. Golden Guardians ended up winning it. I think, to be fair, Golden Guardians take control for most of the game. Still quite scrappy, still quite close, but it was Golden Guardians favored. If we take it back, we'll take a quick look at the draft, but talk me through the early game, talk me through how they started the game.
Yeah, I think, honestly, they had a really strong performance from River coming out from the start. A lot of skirmishes around the mid lane where this Kha'Zix really popped off. I think something I do want to mention about the draft also is I said in the previous game one of the problems was they weren't able to set up Stixxay well, but on the Zeri you're so much more independent compared to the Jinx. And we saw, a moment like that at the end. If you're playing Zeri, obviously you can slide over a wall before you recall. It's much harder to get caught out in these situations. And yeah, I think the pick worked well for them when it came down to those team fights.
Yeah, and I think another thing that worked well this game was River. He's had a pretty good game in both games 2 and 3. Game 2, I would say he was a lot more passive but farmy. In this game, he just got a lot more involved. I'd say they have setup in every lane. They have the Annie support, they have the Poppy who can flash, stun somebody, and then they have the Talia who can also set things
Also,
up.
is that Xin Zhao's face?
Oh, it changed.
Yeah, it was.
It changed.
I was looking at it. The screen is really far away, and I'm like, I'm sure that's Xin Zhao's face. Supposed to be Kha'Zix. Look, we spoke a lot about the Kha'Zix. We talked a lot about River. Let's bring the replay up, and Orcs, talk me through the early games. I think in particular, I also want to ask you, did you like the Kha'Zix this time around? Because you had a little bit of a rant earlier that maybe the pick is not something you love seeing.
Yeah, I haven't been a super fan of the Kha'Zix, especially when we saw some of the games like between Gen G and T1 where it was structured so much around those group team fights. But I feel like there's been so many opportunities where the River has made it happen in the early game, where they call people out who are mispositioned, out in side lanes. And this is what you have to do if you want to make the Kha'Zix work because he has so much damage on these isolated targets. That was something that was buffed before MSI, and if you do catch someone out like this, you can just shred through them, and it was definitely a much more impactful game than the previous two.
Yeah, 5 kills and assists by 14 minutes, involved in all of them for the team, and a 1,500 gold lead over Blabber, a historically dominant North American early game jungler.
And of course, let me rephrase this. Blabber, is he the best jungler in North America?
Yeah.
Do what's right for the LCS.
Yeah.
Cloud9 3-0. That's what we said before. I will concede your prediction was 3-1 Cloud9 at the beginning of the day.
It was.
So you did lean that direction. But I think in terms of how the games have played out, do you have to readjust your expectations? Because from my eyes, Golden Guardians have made Cloud9 work. Golden Guardians have had leads in multiple games that they've also conceded. So this looks a lot more competitive than I was anticipating.
I mean, maybe you didn't have the right expectations. Because this is exactly like the NA Finals, just slightly out of order. Because Golden Guardians consistently push Cloud9. right? They consistently were actually getting early game advantages. In the finals, it was games 1 and 2. Here, it's games 2 and 3. And I would say it has been some superior team fighting by Cloud9, because I think in general they have better hands and are better team fighters. But Golden Guardians are just so proactive and so confident when they go to make moves.
Yeah, I mean, particularly the Licorice play that we saw before was one you have to have supreme confidence to go for that angle. And I feel like as well, the Baron setup we saw them have was so good. Yeah, I mean, Berserker still phenomenal, but this is that Baron setup, and I just think the coordination here that Golden Guardians show is really good.
Great hammer to close it out, and of course that was the deal, the seal, the game being sealed in favor of Golden Guardians. Once they were able to secure that Baron, that was when you really knew it was going to play out. And you can see the post-game breakdown graphic there, that big Baron jump at the end, but still predominantly Golden Guardians' favor.
Poppy, by the way.
I mean,
same damage as Talia.
Such a great performance. I love seeing Poppy. Okay, so Cloud9 has selected blue side, and I'm going to ask London, Copperbox, will we see a game 5? I want to be frank, that's not the most convincing cheer, because I have heard them a lot louder, and frankly, I think they sucked on that one a little bit. But what that tells me
as well,
is they are probably linked towards Cloud9 winning game 4 and going 3-1. Orgs, with C9 being on blue side, we've seen Golden Guardians selecting red side both previous games, so maybe they're not going to be too disappointed in that. What do you think Cloud9 now have to do if they're going to bounce back from the defeat?
Yeah, I think, honestly, the draft wasn't necessarily the problem in that situation. Yes. I mean, these games are so close, so down the wire, that it really comes down to the execution. So I feel like you can follow a familiar trend, but maybe push some of the members of Golden Guardian off their comfort, you know? Especially the Poppy in the top lane seemed really good for Licorice.
I mean,
anything's look good in Licorice's hands, to be fair.
Yeah, and Trevor, North America's going through the next round.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no matter what, something good is happening today for North America. But in all seriousness, I think I'm very interested in Cloud9 actually picking blue side again. It makes me think they're actually pretty happy with the way the drafts have been going, because I feel like this tournament, bot lane is more easily attackable by the red side team because of the bot lane tri-brush. There's more access down there. And also Golden Guardians is really successful with flex picks. So I'm actually a little surprised that Golden Guardians is on the red side, which then gives me a higher belief that this could go 5.
NA wins, all right. If it goes to 5, what was you saying beforehand? There's 2-1 at the moment. Something about NA wins?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's guaranteed, honestly, right? LPL only won 3 games today, and North America, they're guaranteed to win at least 4.
So North America's going to win more games today in London than China, than the LPL.
Yeah.
There's one person cheering above me. Thank you
it's
for that one.
It's more games than Europe yesterday, too. I know you don't like talking about that.
More wins in best of 5s. It's going to pad these stats out. All right, I'm hearing we are about a minute away from picks and bans. Just before we jump over to the casters, give me those specific champions you want to see. I heard you say maybe you want to get rid of the Poppy. What else should be the priority picks? I mean, we've seen the Ahri, the Sion, the Vi being predominantly focused on blue side from Cloud9.
I mean, I still think picks like the Vi, the Annie are really effective. Like, the main focal point of a lot of these team fights is around these AD carries, and we saw some critical moments, you know, Berserker getting caught out. When Berserker actually managed to turn it around into Stixxay, I think dealing with these marksmen is so big.
Well, I do know that Craft is just about ready, so that does it from us at the analyst desk. We're going to head over to our TriCast, take us into game 4.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MSI 2023 and a series that is now alive and well between Cloud9 and the Golden Guardians, who were up against a match-pointed opponent and managed to strike back in game number 3.
And Golden Guardians actually did this a bunch to Cloud9 in our finals as well, where it kind of shocked people how much of an advantage they could get on Cloud9 in a lot of these early games. See if they can repeat it here and actually run it to a series success, because they were unable to get enough of those in finals.
I mean, the reality of the situation is that Golden Guardians are struggling to convert those what are largely dominant early games into clean executions of what should be wins for them. And I think a lot of that comes down to C9 doing a great job of slowing the game down. They set up very good vision. They play towards their strong sides of the map. And I think that they continuously find these picks onto Golden Guardians. And so if that is the case, I wonder if the approach from Golden Guardians should be to draft as much team fighting as possible. Don't allow these picks to even be a thing. Always look to play around your dragons or your barons and just force these 5v5s. Because if the pick never becomes an opportunity and you just get to skill check your opponent, that is where I feel like we're seeing the best of Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians also, I said it at the end of last game, having FLICKR on something that can make plays with the big Poppy ult denies, with the wall bangs to get things started. It just seems so much more effective than having him on something that needs setup from the rest of the team. Also putting River on the Kazakhs, getting him out to a nice early lead where he was able to get them to the point where they could then have everybody else take over the game, felt really nice. So let's see what changes in the draft here. Cloud9 again going to be playing from the blue side. Sion and Lissandra banned away. Golden Guardians taking out the LeBlanc and the Lulu.
I think the Lulu is a good ban here for Golden Guardians to take away on anything that buffs up Berserker. You don't want any extra power going into this player for Cloud9. Deny him, even if he does still go with either the Jinx or the Aphelios.
I wonder what this first pick will be. With the Vi banned away, we'll not see a return of the Viari. So the Cassante, of course, that is what replaced it. No reason not to. A flex pick for C9. They can play both in mid and top. It's been, I think, one of the most successful picks we've seen at the tournament, just in terms of its flexibility, its power, its durability. Cassante, very, very strong. This, of course, does give Golden Guardians the opportunity to lock in their bot lane, and I was about to say Zeri Maokai make a lot of sense. Don't bother with the Jinx, the Aphelios. You've proven that this champion, not only are you very comfortable on it, but it's just as 200 years as every other AD carry in the meta.
Absolutely. The Zeri for Stixxay looked so much better in Game 3 than the choices in the first 2 games.
And it's just what you wanted with Teamfight here. Comfort for Stixxay, late game carry teamfight, Maokai, perfect setup and control for these teamfights.
Now in the previous series, gentlemen, we were all behind the scenes in the Caster Green Room watching BLG versus JDG, and I will tell all of you watching from home right now the amount of audible groans when Nidalee was locked in after seeing an enemy Zeri. It was quite a symphony. But now here again, Cloud9 are the ones saying, all right, let's use the Nidalee. How do we feel about this locked in together with the Jace?
So they don't have this Nidalee with one of the traditional pairings of a CC to guarantee that you can hit your spears, but they just have extra poke here with Nidalee spears plus Jace Shock Blast here for alternate damage type poke composition for Cloud9.
I mean, I'll just be blunt. I think that Nidalee is a champion that is very difficult to execute, and Cloud9 have not demonstrated to me yet this tournament that they have the ability to execute a Nidalee. If they do, I will be impressed. Okay. But if you're Golden Guardians and this is what you're playing into the Nidalee, I'd be a very happy Golden Guardians fan.
Yeah, the Poppy has done so much for these objectives, ejecting people, getting them out of there. Nidalee and Jace, you're going to have to get a lot of value out of that poke, stopping them up before these team fights, get to the objectives first. But we got to look at the response here. You assume Jinx and Aphelios probably banned away from Berserker?
Yeah, considering they've already got the Zeri locked in, no AD carry pick in the first half of the draft, and Jinx and Aphelios have just been the meta over and over and over and over and over again in so many of these games. So if you can knock Berserker a little bit lower on that tier list, considering he is the plan for Cloud9 in a lot of these games, that might be the secret sauce here.
I actually think Golden Guardians should consider something like a Braum ban, and then they first pick the Rakan. Okay, they're going to ban away AD carries. Because Xayah Rakan becomes the next big pot lane pick for C9. I think that the Tristana ban is really good. Your expectations are that when you have the Maokai, teams are so willing to pick an AD mid lane champion to complement it that Tristana does make a lot of sense. We know that Gore is no stranger to Yone as well. I do wonder if they will consider that. I don't think it would have the easiest time in lane, but if they just want to remove some of those champions, instead they're just going to prioritize the Ahri. So I do love a Rakan here. Just gives you more engaged tools. It would also just deny the Xayah Rakan pairing, but at the same time, you could argue that because we have the Poppy, we don't mind you getting the Rakan for yourself.
I think it's exactly what you need, because the best counter to these poke comps is hard engage. You need more and more hard engage, and Cloud9 are going to triple down on their poke, it looks like, with a Varus pick as well if they lock this in. That is going to be super heavy poke, super heavy pressure. They throw the Heimerdinger on top of it. It's massive poke damage here versus can Golden Guardians get the engages?
Massive poke damage and massive lane power in that bottom side that has been such a focus so far in this series. That's Cloud9's game plan, but if they get engaged on, they're in trouble. And you know what a great answer to long-range projectiles is, my friends? The ability to stop them all in their tracks. It's a Yasuo lock-in for Gory and the Golden Guardians.
And Golden Guardians have a lot of displacements to be able to set up this Yasuo. So many things to be able to trigger the ultimate. and that is guaranteed engage. You just need somebody to get there, somebody to get to the back line, hit a knock up, and you're in.
So the beauty of this Yasuo as well is earlier I talked about how I think Golden Guardian should just prioritize focusing, playing around the objectives, going for these 5v5s, playing for team fights, especially if you're able to find these advantages in the early game. Not only can they do that, they have people that can match inside as well. They can play 1-3-1 with a Yasuo and a Poppy, which means the Golden Guardians really have all their bases covered. It's just about C9 have said, we want way more agency in early game, and they have a lot of power to do so.
Yeah, you need to snowball with these poke comps. You need to pressure lanes. You have to get an advantage early and get some turret plate money and keep up that extra damage.
Well, here we go. The Cloud9 poke machine versus the massive amount of knockups, displacement, team fighting, and the Yasuo to complement it from the Golden Guardians. Back in the finals of LCS, Cloud9 won the series 3-1. Golden Guardians would love nothing more than to stop a repeat of that here in this fourth game, win these back-to-back, and take us to a game number 5. C9 fighting out of the blue, Golden Guardians fighting out of the red. It's game number 4 in an elimination match. Let's see how Cloud9 want to play it with this early game comp.
So a massive stack on both sides of the map. Getting that lane control is incredibly important. Everyone around the world likely should have seen this before, where you stack, sweep. Basically just looked at, make sure you control these bushes for the early levels. Golden Guardians, though, don't really have any information of this. I feel like ideally they would have loved to understand what is happening so they can look to try and get that ward on the enemy jungle so they can keep track of what Blabber is up to.
Wow, and Berserker here going with the refillable potion start. Thank you, observers. Refillable potion longsword start. Funny timing there. Does mean you're looking to try and push the wave very quickly to get your recall off. Often referred to like a cheater recall here for Cloud9. You want to push super heavily, use your refillable potion charges, but then get your recall off early so you can go back and get your purchase.
Nice little bit of damage there early on to Berserker, thanks to the grand entrance over the wall from Huhi. And the goal is survival here in the early stages of the bottom lane for the Golden Guardians. Varus and Heimerdinger have so much push, so much damage, so much range, so much control in the 2v2 against the vast majority of matchups.
All right, gentlemen, the thing you really have to keep your eyes on is Blabber doing red. He could, if he wanted to, immediately move over to blue and start contesting enemy jungle buffs. He has the push in bot lane to be able to support him in that exchange as well. And you'll notice this ward in the river actually spots out for that potential play. They've initially warded the entrance to the red on the top side and the entrance to the dragon pit so they can keep track of that as a really good trade comes out from Gory in mid.
Yeah, Gory doing a great job here, just immediately unafraid to go in against the Cassante of M&S.
Is this the counter? Is this the unknown counter? Like, I've never gotten to see this matchup, but Gory already at level 1, well, level 2 rather, getting ahead of M&S in the 1v1.
And speaking of those wards, he's going to come over and lock off the other entrance point here by Raptor ramp. But Blabber's going to go over the back of the dragon while that other ward has already expired. You see that red dot there? That was the defensive ward for Golden Guardians. Blabber gets around Gory's fresh one. M&S, Q3, Q3.
Looking for it, goes in, finds the stun into the knockback. Blabber marks him with the spear. Gory waits for the jump and then flashes away back to safety.
Well played there by the mid jungle of Cloud9. I believe that Gory didn't quite have the window to get his wind wall up to block the spear. He needs to get control over this wave right now. Ideally, he wants to push it underneath the tower. Nice trade there. But yeah, he's a little hesitant right now as Nidalee stealing away those top camps.
Yeah, and Nidalee here up to the top side off of Krugs with a pushed-in Licorice at tower. Fudge trying to land a bunch of poke under here, stopping him up as well. Blabber leaving behind the extra vision. M&S pushes it back out.
Yeah, M&S feeling a lot better in this lane after that gank from Blabber that forced the flash away from Gory. Found a good chunk of damage in there too. Now it's M&S with total control here in the matchup, shoving Gory back underneath the turret, getting that wave forced up. River is waiting so that he knows Blabber's coming in here, but Blabber can easily defeat Maokai in a 1v1 jungle battle. Gory's trying to clear out the wave, but he's going to be cleared out instead. It's first blood over to M&S.
And that ward, they saw him coming, but they can't do anything about it. You mentioned Maokai in the brush. Great, he gets pushed off bottom lane.
Who he's burning away, but he barely survives. Golden Guardians are seriously under pressure in this early game.
This is exactly the pressure that Cloud9 need to exert in the early game to make this comp work. They get the kill, the dive onto mid lane, bottom lane pushes in as well.
Cloud9, they're stomping top, they're stomping mid, they're stomping bot. In terms of advantages, obviously a little bit of help from the jungle in the mid lane. Fudge, though, Zoid Heat overextended a little bit, but he's fine, keeps the wave pushed in, and you can see that CS discrepancy continuing to build. Cloud9 knew what Golden Guardians wanted to do in the draft. We were skeptical about whether or not they'd be able to find these early leads, and so far, they've already built a 2K gold difference.
Exactly, 2,000 gold off of one kill. Even First Blood with assist money is only 600 gold's worth of value, so that other 1.5K is just Cloud9 building up these leads through the farm, through the matchups, through the advantages they have in all these lanes.
Yeah, and even the efficiency of the items. We mentioned the refillable potion start for Berserker. He goes back and refills it. Meanwhile, Stixxay, while being down CS, also had spent extra money on those consumables, so is even further in the hole than the scoreboard shows.
Golden Guardians are going to have to dig in and make sure this lead doesn't bleed out into something much greater. They have tools to fight Cloud9 later on in the game, but all the tools in the world aren't going to help you if it's 20 minutes into the game and you're down 7,000 gold. They've got to make sure that they can stop this C9 advantage from growing much larger. Blabber still farming through the jungle very effectively. You can see 39 versus 24 just in the jungle CS. Nidalee pacing is top tier.
Certainly is. But as we get later into the game, C9 are going to be very reliant on their poke as M&S underneath the tower.
All out, just looking for the dive on Gory. He doesn't have the turret aggro. He only damaged him outside of the range, so he was able to continue chasing after this here. Gory has the Q3, throws it out, M&S with a good dodge.
It's Yasuo versus Tank Yasuo. The new addition here, and it's going to be a draw for now. Blabber bottom side.
But River is here shadowing his bottom lane duo. M&S gonna rotate over to this. Gory's doing the same, but they'll run into each other in the river if they just keep walking this direction. He's down to 200 HP. River jumps in, they're going after Blabber. The grand entrance isn't enough. Blabber gets the kill onto He and Stixxay has to run back underneath the turret. Blabber's at 100 HP and River's gonna be killed. Blabber doesn't drop. A double kill back over to the Nidalee and Cloud9 gets 3.
Well, you could call that an early snowball. All right, Cloud9, they're not taking any chances with this one. What a dive. All of Golden Guardians falling there.
It's a repeat of the LCS finals. It was Blabber on his Poppy that was absolutely popping off, finding kill after kill all across the board. I doubted his Nidalee, but he has shown up here in Game 4.
He tried to go in to get the knock-up on him, and he just got his face bitten off, immediately dropping.
You know,
Blabber with the
birds
level up.
and cats don't get on, Kobe. And Blabber really showcasing that relationship. Gory, of course, as this matchup continues to go on, those early armor boots paying dividends for M&S. And he is able to get ahead in a lot of these skirmishes. The grasp as well, offering him a little bit more sustain. As overall, Golden Guardians very quickly losing control of this early game. 3.5K is the deficit that they already find themselves in.
That's so suffocating. 8 minutes into the game. The Herald hasn't even spawned yet, and Cloud9 is on average 700 gold ahead of each of their counterparts.
And you look at the level advantage as well for Blabber. He is more than a whole level over River. Pretty early into the game, it's actually difficult to... flash ult!
Flash ulti from the Bear as Berserker wants The piercing arrow doesn't find the damage, but the rain of arrows does. Berserker gets the kill, and it's 5-0 C9.
Vengeance for the bottom lane here. Cloud9 are angry.
Gory now looking for a trade in mid. We'll take a tower shot with the ult.
Oh, beautifully done with the all out to take Gory exactly where he wants him, away from the turret, away from any safety, and into a spot where Gory is forced to flash back.
And this will be a completely uncontested Herald. The crab to boot. Wow. C9 are just dominating. And I mentioned it's a callback to the finals, and it was one of those situations where I remember you guys talking on the desk where, like, wow, Golden Guardians, they keep getting these early advantages. This is where they have that advantage over C9, and then C9 come in and go, no, we can still play early game, and they're doing the exact same thing in this series. Blabber is completely unleashed, and oh no, oh River, no!
River, goodbye, buddy. The donger will not be denied. Sven just walks into the enemy jungle, kills the jungler, and now he's gonna walk right on back out. He tries to stop him, but Sven's just casually walking away. Stixxay tries to join for the chase, join for the damage, but Cloud9's got more players, and Sven gets out.
In the wise words of Heimerdinger, if you can't heal him or cure him, you bury him.
Sven styling there, walking his way out with his blue hair chroma as well as the Cloud9 emote span. Now, I'm not saying this will happen, but I always feel it necessary when there is a full snowball poke comp like this to give the public service announcement that when these types of comps do fail and do crash, they crash in a very big way. Once the all-out engage comp actually does get the engage and gets some bounties and gets gold to team fight their way back into it, it can all come to a screeching halt. However, Cloud9 are very, very far ahead with this. Don't expect it to stop anytime soon.
I mean, that's the nature of these types of compositions that Cloud9 has drafted. It either looks like this, or if you fail to do this, you just get absolutely slammed because of your failure to accelerate the game. Right now, it's Gory coming in with the ulti. The help of the other Golden Guardians members may just be able to set them up for their first kill of the game, and yes, it will. Unfortunately for the Guardians, it goes over to River instead of to Gory, but he's gonna look for a little bit more. He goes in for the flash into the grand entrance, and Gory gets paid this time. It's 2 kills over to the Guardians, but they gotta get He out. Now it's C9 fighting back with Blabber as Gory continues the chase. Berserker gets a killing spree in the 1v1 against Stixxay Seri, and now Gory's gotta head for the hills. A spear over the wall does not connect, but he's ready with the grand entrance yet again. The stopwatch so Blabber can't kill him back, and a 700 gold shutdown back over to the Golden Guardians mid lane.
Those shutdowns are quite meaningful. Yes, it's still a ginormous gold gap for Cloud9, but the warning signs are starting to show. You get a couple of picks like this, you start to get some gold back for the hard engaged team, and it can turn it around. Anyway, Cloud9 though, they still got the dragon, and they still actually turned around a couple of kills. As you see, Berserker, he fights his way out of the 1v1 with Stixxay. Sven does end up going down, but Blabber also being able to find it a little bit.
Really, it's the damage from Berserker that gives C9 the ability to turn this around. Even in his 1v1, it looks like that he's going to die, but he gets the 3 passive up, hits him with the Q. The execution damage is massive, and then Blabber overextends a little bit, thinking he can get himself another kill, but it ends up going in the favor of Golden Guardians. And respect to them, as they are a resilient team. They're now looking for a play in top.
Can't quite close the distance there. Unfortunately for FLICKR, there was nothing to slam Fudge into to get him there long enough for River to close the gap. And now bottom lane, not just 12 minutes, I should say, into the game. The first turret goes down, and it's solo gold to Berserker.
And so you have to keep up pace when you're running a comp like this. You take this bottom tower very, very early, then you immediately rotate that pressure, keep it up on the other side, collect as many turret plates as possible. Ideally, of course, 15, but as many as you can possibly get early on here for Cloud9 to really hit that snowball home.
Here's the Herald mid, yeah.
Okay. A little bit of scuffle back and forth, but nothing seriously committed from either side. C9 wanting to force this Herald forward. They want to get the charge. FLICKR goes in. He looks for M&S. M&S gets rooted up by the Maokai ulti, but now River could be in some danger. Twisted advance back to a minion, getting himself away. Gory with a knock-up, but the kill first from Blabber onto Huhi. Gory dies before he can get anybody. That's the power of the gold lead, and Cloud9 get 2 for nothing.
Yep, they've got that bottom lane recall coming up mid lane to help support the Herald push. They get the extra kill. They should be able to finish out the tower as well. Then you just continue to rotate. Bottom's up, checked off, mid is checked off, go top, get the last couple of turret plates there too.
Blabber is just executing River in his own jungle. This Nidalee performance is incredible. Very much not what I was expecting, but his early game dominance has been sublime. More plates will be funneled into Berserker. They've secured 10, make that 12. He's looking to secure 13 as those plates will be falling off in 30 seconds time. Just absolute domination in the early game. 9,000 is the goal difference as we cross liter clock.
I said earlier, if you're down 7,000 gold at 20 minutes, you're still not that afraid of a comp that's got the tools to deal with you. 9,000 gold at 14 is even better for this Cloud9 team that has just built an incredible lead. You said you want 15 plates. I'll settle for 13 out of 15. I think that's pretty good.
I'm a strict parent.
Yeah.
What? 13? What happened to the other two?
Yeah. Well, they will be falling off, but that does mean that that top tower is still
13
very
versus
weak.
0.
Yeah.
Not even a single plate for the Golden Guardians. Just suffocated this entire early game by the range and the power of Cloud9.
Exactly, and that's the key there. You're never going to be able to push back and get some for yourselves with this massive range disadvantage on the side of the Golden Guardians.
From the crowd as they see the gold difference at 14 presented by MasterCard. Just an absolute gap between Blabber, Berserker, and their lane counterparts right now.
And what they have to do to make the hard engaged side of it work for Golden Guardians is choose their moment wisely. Have everybody full commit. You cannot hesitate when you go for the comeback play. And you have to get Berserker because he's got the biggest bounty on his head. You need to make it worthwhile.
Well, I'm now going to be tracking if Cloud9 from this position can close it out cleanly. Obviously, we've been critical of Golden Guardians, who consistently throughout the series have been able to find early game leads, but then they consistently get picked off. Let's look back at this fight as it starts off with M&S getting rooted up. A knockup will come through from Huhi. The follow-up from Gory looks good initially, but then this knockback, or the ultimate rather, from M&S bringing Gory back means that he gets completely isolated away from his team. And C9 secure the tower and themselves a kill.
Pain.
You hate to see it if you're on Golden Guardians. Cloud9 fans are loving it, though. Second Drake of the game is up and available, but Cloud9 have been so much more concerned with accelerating the gold lead that they're only just now going to be getting to this.
Okay, so steps forward now after all of the early plays. Finish off the dragon. You never let Golden Guardians even sniff around an objective because objective bounties are on the map due to the massive snowball. But then you can just rotate again. Even though there's no turret plates on top side, you still want the outer tower. Get that pressure down. That's the easiest low-hanging fruit of gold left on the map. And you can move in these ward lines. Good example here. They've already got it on blue, on Gromp. You strangle the Golden Guardians' gold income. Don't let them get any of their neutral resources.
And that's exactly what M&S is doing. He'll take the Gromp away. Sven putting down some wards on the other side of the Golden Guardians jungle. If River tries to go in and farm anything, he's going to find nothing left. 70 farm on a Maokai versus 146 there for Blabber's Nidalee.
And he's squishy, Flowers.
Yeah.
He's decided to go for more of the damage build, and this Nidalee is more than happy to punish it. Berserker just chipping away at the health bar of River. This red buff, I'm afraid, doesn't belong to you, River.
No, sir. FLICKR trying to deal with Blabber. Sven coming up to assist. Throws out the grenade, only gets the slow, not the stun. Blabber throws out another spear. Nice sidestep from FLICKR. The turret is down in the top lane, and the Herald is walking towards the tier 2. Golden Guardians should be able to stop this charge before it can complete. Cloud9 backs away. They don't want to overcommit for something just like a Herald tier 2 charge. They want to make sure that they're continuing to move this forward without any of those big mistakes.
Blabber's done such a good job on this Nidalee, facilitating the game plan here, doubling the Maokai farm, counter jungling him. He is the same level as the opponent's solo laners at the moment. In this day and age for jungles, that is a feat. Definitely well done from him. On double item power spike, you've got so much flat penetration with your sword shoes as well on top, so that poke definitely hurts, and the area that Golden Guardians have to try and dodge all of this poke damage gets smaller and smaller. The map continues to constrict around them.
M&S not afraid to jump in 1v2 against River and Huhi fighting for this Gromp. Yeah, they even have FLICKR coming over, but a 1v3 is still pretty good odds for a team that's 10,000 gold ahead.
They got the Gromp, that's a dub for the Guardians.
It's a very optimistic dub for sure.
Gotta take them where you get them now.
At this point, you're really just trying to buy time. You're stalling the game out for as long as you can, and you're praying that C9 can't really snowball this advantage, but the fact that they have a near 10k gold lead should be proof enough that they have the ability to snowball. The spear will land on a Huhi. He'll take a bit of damage, forced to back away. And there's no objective to play for, so as you rightly said, C9 just suffocating all the resources away from Golden Guardians. Licorice tries to, he's the tank, you remember, by the way.
Yeah.
He's trying his best to get some information back, and Blabber immediately says, no sir, this area does not belong to you.
He's the tank, but right now he's armor, and some health. No MR. Very easy for Blabber's Nidalee to just chunk him down with that spell pen build like you're talking about. Those 3 items are just a nightmare for any target that doesn't at least have some form of magic resist. Your spears are practically doing true damage, and for Blabber, he's just dialing these in, unafraid to move forward. Look at the traps all throughout the enemy jungle.
Oh, here we go.
Golden Guardians are coming in. They're going to send it down bot, try to make a play, try to make a collapse. Licorice goes, but he won't find anything. Golden Guardians still chasing with the Nature's Grasp, trying to see if they can get any of these valuable targets. MNS remains here on the front line as the chains of corruption do not connect onto anyone from the Golden Guardians. That was the attempt, that was the send, and it didn't get anybody.
C9 have so many disengaged tools with the mobility on the Nidalee, but Sven's ultimate, you have Varus ultimate, like there are so many ways in which C9 can just, if Golden Guardians don't have the optimal flank, immediately disengage, and that's exactly what they do. They'll walk away, just forcing a TP out of Golden Guardians. Of course, they did trade TP of their own, but overall, they walk away happy knowing that it's only desperation from here on out for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, and there you do have to choose your point to all in very, very wisely. You know, they don't get any flashes out of Cloud9, but critically, as you say, you know, they don't offer themselves up for extra kills, and so it just is the trade of teleports. And the response there, though, from Cloud9 is going to be a reminder. Keep all of our flanks clear, completely clear this vision on the map. Don't let Golden Guardians get that angle.
And you can see the build from MNS has the Frostfire Gauntlet, building towards the Randuin's next. He's up against 2 champions that really like crit. He's also only up against 1 AP threat, and it happens to be a Maokai that is just leagues behind this Nidalee. So he knows that MR is not going to be a concern. It's so easy for the Cassante to frontline with this lead and with all these cannons lined up behind him.
And he's the solo bouncer of Club Cloud9 here, where Blabber, Berserker, Sven, and Fudge have all been partying, and Baron's going to be the new site.
Hang on a minute now. This is how Golden Guardians get back into this game. C9 have to be very cautious about how they play this one.
Licorice on the Poppy. That's going to have to be something. I don't think there's any way they win a 5v5. They're going to have to make it an unfair fight. Okay, they knocked Blabber away, but unfortunately the Baron wasn't low enough to try to jump in and immediately find a steal thereafter.
Well, Golden Guardians have direct access to the Dragon now, but with Blabber's mobility, he's going to quickly dash on over and look to contest this one, but at least Golden Guardians have access to the river, which is more than they had a few moments ago.
Yeah, unlucky for Golden Guardians. They just moved the jungler.
Oh, Ruhi with a knock-up. They may have found a pick. Fudge gets away, rooted up right in front of the turret, and Golden Guardians get a shutdown. River taking the kill on that one. They don't lose anybody in return. Stixxay's very low. He will not die, flashing away with 100 HP to stay alive. Nidalee Spear from downtown hits Licorice for a big chunk. So Golden Guardians are going to get 1 kill, but C9 are the ones with better health. C9 are the ones still with control over neutral territory, and C9 are going to go to Soul Point.
Yeah, they still have so much damage. Look at these item advantages for Cloud9. So even though Golden Guardians get that pick, they take down Fudge, they get a couple of flashes here. Cloud9 still keep their dragon stacking, keep on pace, and Golden Guardians haven't been able to cash in on any of those big bounties.
A lot of flashes were used in that exchange, but promising play from Golden Guardians. They catch Fudge off guard. He gets taunted. The flash response from Berserker to get away to safety. The knockup is long enough to allow Goy to land the ultimate. The chain CC then comes through from River, and the damage was enough to secure that kill. But look at the return damage from Sven and Berserker. Their poke was just astronomical. The spear forces Stixxay to move a little bit to the left, which then gives Blabber an opportunity where he ends up trading flashes with the enemy AD carry, and that's going to prove important as we get closer to the next fight.
Yeah, that fight could be the setup fight for Golden Guardians' actual comeback one. As you mentioned, multiple flashes blown there. Now Berserker and Fudge and Blabber, all possible targets there for them.
Easier said than done.
A lot easier, actually.
Golden Guardians.
In this case.
Still down 9,000 gold. Still
Just
down
win.
3
It's that
ranks.
easy, you know what I mean?
You can say it. There you go.
If you're losing too many games of League of Legends, simply start winning more games of League of Legends.
Wise words, Captain Flowers.
Unfortunately, it's
Have they tried
the reality Golden
killing
Guardians are in right now. The Baron's still up, 23 and a half minutes into the game. This is around the time when game one ended, so even with the lead Cloud9 have, it's still going better than that for the Golden Guardians. But C9 are trying to choke them out of this jungle. They're placing down the vision, sitting down these Nidalee traps as well. Gonna give you extra control in the enemy jungle. It's so scary, so dangerous for Golden Guardians to step up.
So the lethal situation that C9 finds themselves in is that their Baron isn't actually that fast. By going for the lethality virus, it does mean that your Baron clear is a little bit slower. So they can't just have 2-3 members just doing it this early on into the game. They kind of do need to commit to it to some degree. And in order to do that, they have to move into the topside jungle and completely suffocate Golden Guardians out of the pit. Either find a pick, leverage the 4v5, and then convert it into a fight. And this means the Golden Guardians actually have some space and time to get their next objective, get their next item, so they can actually find a better contest around the Baron.
That's exactly why I personally, with Pocomps, as FLICKR is in.
FLICKR leading the charge for C9. Teleport coming in on top of them. Golden Guardians, as soon as they see those Cloud9 lines reinforcing, they have to retreat.
Personally, with Pocomps, I like to black out the vision on both sides and then move up and get these secondary turrets. You continue sieging until your advantage is at a maximum, but Cloud9 are in the jungle again.
Okay, M&S frontlining once more. He's not worried about this at all. That's his role. They find a ton of damage down into FLICKR, who wants to disengage. The Poppycopter is grounded, and M&S shot the rocket. C9 taking out the enemy top laner, taking out that powerful disengage mechanism. That's the green light to head back over to Baron.
Exactly. That is the optimal pick to find. One of the big frontliners, one of the disengage tools is gone. The Baron slowly making its way down. The TP will come in from Gory. Infinity Edge picked up. Last chance for Golden Guardians.
You feel like they have to steal this Baron away if they want any chance left in the game. Nature's Grasp over the wall. River waiting for the flash. He goes in!
My!
River just stole it away! But what will it actually mean? Cloud9 have a 5v3. What will they do?
The story of MSI is throwing at Baron, and Cloud9, they did not do their due diligence. River with the flash steal keeps Golden Guardians alive.
Oh, they need, M&S gets rooted by the Maokai ult. He can't get over there to keep him out. And M&S is the only one with true block, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Berserker Ultimate maybe?
Oh, hold on. We got a little bit of a fight breaking out. Gory and Licorice versus Fudge and M&S. Gory's got to try to get away. Licorice does not have the damage to fight these guys on his own. M&S still just staying here on the front line.
The team is coming
up behind him. Berserker has the damage, but with Stixxay showing up, C9 does not want to overcommit. M&S is too low.
Why is Hu He down in bot lane? What? I guess he's getting vision around the dragon. Blabber.
He's not in a very good spot now, that's for sure. Blabber marks him with the spear, jumps in. It's about half his HP. Another spear. Blabber's still on the hunt, but he does not want to chase any further because he knows who he's got backup coming.
It's for these two wards right there.
But they don't have TP.
But they're setting up to be able to have angles here to look around, try and suss out a possibility. Their job's not done. That's just one objective bounty here.
True.
Look at the massive gold difference still standing. Golden Guardians, though, that's the first step. That is their hope.
I'll be honest, I very much agree with you, Kobe, that I think the play from C9 should have actually been to take these tier 2 towers. Leverage Fog to take advantage of your poke, chip away at the opposition, give you more space over that top side to then make it even easier to secure that objective. While they will get the dragon, it doesn't actually suddenly make it easy for you to siege into the base, right? As long as the vision can maintain and Golden Guardians can navigate their way past all the poke, they can hold the line, they can defend, and they can just continue to stall.
And it looks like they're going to trade for a top objective bounty here. So Dragon is taken and the secondary tower here for Cloud9, but Licorice is up there on the top side trying to get an objective bounty on the top outer turret.
Well, that's 5 turrets to now finally the first turret of the game for Golden Guardians, dropping just about 28 minutes in as Licorice and the minions will do the work to pick it up. They still are, however, 8,000 gold behind, and the Chem Soul has been claimed by Cloud9. This means if the game goes on for another 5.5 minutes, the Elder Drake will be spawned. Now, on one hand, if Cloud9 gets that, I think Nidalee Spears can straight up one-hit someone. If Golden Guardians gets it, we know that Elder Drake is the great equalizer in League of Legends. The game continues. Golden Guardians are still alive for now, but man, this is a tough spot to play from.
Execution on the Elder also makes your Chemtech Soul a lot less useful. Golden Guardians with that Baron buff, Gory chunking down on the bottom side, but you don't want to overextend too much. Rotation from both teams here. You see Golden Guardians funneling in. They're gonna...
What are we gonna commit to here, boys?
I think a dive on M&S.
Well, Berserker is headed to the top side of the map, so Cloud9 should just leave this. M&S is probably out of there then.
Yeah, M&S just trying to get himself away. Golden Guardians have 4 players down here. M&S does have backup in the form of Blabber and Sven. Meanwhile, up in the top side, Fudge versus Licorice.
Berserker's there too.
Licorice is holding his own. Berserker from back behind him. Chains of Corruption ain't gonna hit, and Licorice is ready to walk away. Poppycopter misses! Meanwhile, back in the bottom lane, Sven's gonna be taken low, but nobody's dead yet. Never mind, it's a shutdown. They get the kill back onto Blabber. It's Golden Guardians finding one, but losing one on the other side of the map as Licorice falls. Stixxay chasing after Sven, wants to ride the Zeri wall, goes over, looks for the zap, but doesn't hit. Sven gets away, Berserker still pushing up in the top side.
I still think that it's C9 that walk away with the bigger advantage, though. Berserker has overstayed his welcome.
That's 1,000 gold right there. Gory sees it, double teleport to defend.
Double teleport protecting the AD carry, and M&S goes all out.
Clean with it. They are so ready to defend Berserker with their lives. He is a walking 1,000 gold bag right there. An instant teleporting. Cassante ult, guess what?
That is like one of the best examples of protect the president I've ever seen.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like, they were just like, sir, you have been left alone in the top lane. TP, 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 TP.
Just
yeah,
descend.
exactly. Oh, they were there to escort him to safety, and they were able to neutralize the assassin. Gory does not find a pick. Cloud9, while they did concede a shutdown in Blabber, losing his life, Golden Guardians still have a massive mountain to climb. So far, they've been able to buy time. The Baron spawns in a minute's time, and they have been able to take down these tier 2 towers. Now only the tier 3s remain between the Nexus and Cloud9, which means that what we need to see is calm play, good vision investment on the top side. Ideally, you want to use your poke to chip away at Golden Guardians before they can really set up for, or find a pick on the river, that works too. Yeah. But you want to make it as hard as possible for Golden Guardians to just face check this area of the map and get even close to the ban.
Yasuo in bottom lane. Blade of the Ruined King, Infinity Edge, has the zeal just for the baseline power and cost efficiency of that component, working towards a Dead Man's Plate as his next big item. Some armor to withstand some of the poke from the Jace and the Varus, but those two are incredibly scary with the Manamune fully evolved on both, Cyrilda's Grudge for the armor penetration, as well as the ability slow on both of those pokes. You can see the Zhonya's Hourglass completed as the third major item on Blabber, gives the Nidalee the ability to throw the spear, jump in for the follow-up burst, and not immediately be targeted right after. Golden Guardians held on with a Baron steal before, and now Baron has respawned again.
Whoever is pushing out mid lane for Cloud9 is gonna be in a little bit of a sketchy scenario there, because that's where Golden Guardians trying to flank from.
Okay, here we go. Baron once again started up. Licorice has the TP. There is that water bug, but he's grouped up with the team.
They slam M&S into the wall. They fire off the Maokai ulti, but there's no way the Guardians can kill M&S in time before the rest of Cloud9's at least able to fire back a little bit. Huhi with a massive knockup. Gory's there for the follow. M&S is down. Fudge is being chased by Stixxay, but Berserker goes unstoppable and gets one back on the Huhi. Gory also going to drop. Stixxay's trying to fire back. They kill onto Gory from Blabber, but with M&S, Blabber, and Fudge all down, it's only Berserker and Sven remaining for the side of Cloud9. And Golden Guardians lose the Baron this time, but they win the fight right after.
Oh, they're not done. Here we go. Berserker turns on River. He stops his recall. It's just the Maokai, though. Not a lot of threat there.
I think River's just trying to buy time, interrupt the back so that Golden Guardians are able to maybe trade it for this mid tower. The goal difference pretty much remains the same as C9 lose 3 members off the back of that Baron play.
This is why 20 minutes ago, I gave you a public service announcement warning. When these comps fall, they do tend to fall in a very big way, especially with the potency of objective bounties. They got one off the first Baron steal for Golden Guardians, and they get a couple of these straggling towers that are left up really far and exposed, and you start to get just some money into the hard engaged team. And while the gold difference relatively remains the same, when it rises a little bit here for the possible all-in, could get very dangerous. So Cloud9, they got to focus up.
Okay, there's no Rakan flash, there's no Zeri flash, there's no Poppy flash for the Golden Guardians, and the Elder Drake is spawning right now.
Look at what Golden Guardians are doing on the bot side. They're doing their best to find a way into this bot jungle so that they still have some vision and ways to contest this Elder. They do not want to give it for free. 6A needs to be very careful,
Yes.
and
He's
he
going
will be
deep
fine
again.
for now. Wow, Huhi is so deep. But now Blabber is suspicious. He's like, how did this ward just get here?
Yeah.
Huhi must be in the vicinity. He's looking for him.
Blabber with the spear over the wall into the Krugs. They got
He's
vision of
found
Huhi. They know that he's there.
They found River as well. Huhi.
Huhi wants to be able to dash to River for safety. Meanwhile, the route on to Gory. That was the chains of corruption from the Varus. Berserker locking down the enemy mid laner, doing a lot of damage, forcing a flash over the wall from Maokai as well as Cloud9 forces the
ult.
Golden Guardians back. This is what you guys were talking about. Cloud9's poke before the objective. Whittle down those health bars. Make it so Golden Guardians can't full send, can't full commit. The
coming
Elder's
back.
already down to 5,000. FLICKR going for an eject. They knock him an ass out of the fight, so now they've got the ability to jump in and try to fight everybody else, but the Elder Dragon's already been claimed, and River and Huhi are both already dead. Berserker finds the kills, and now even more damage is gonna pour in. Blabber gets the execution on one. Is he gonna get it on two? The shield wears away, and it's a triple kill to Blabber's Nidalee. Cloud9 is on the warpath, and the path leads to the victory march. Golden Guardians stood and fought for 35 minutes, but Cloud9's poke comp was executed right, and they're going right down mid lane. Nexus turret number 1, goodbye. Gory, goodbye. Golden Guardians, goodbye. And Cloud9 moves on at MSI.
3-1 in finals, 3-1 at MSI. Cloud9 once again taking care of business versus the Golden Guardians.
Very controlled gameplay around that Elder. The idea from Golden Guardians was promising, trying to find those flank wards, but Blabber had already seen Huhi make these sneaky plays on the bot side of the map. He seemed very aware of that potential flank, and he tried to shut it down. The second that River lost his flash, it was all over. They took their time, they leveraged their poke, and they were able to cleanly secure that objective. Cloud9 convincingly take the edge over Golden Guardians, and as you said, Flowers, move on at MSI.
Golden Guardians, for a team that was down 9,000 gold at 14 minutes, I am very impressed. They made it to 35 minutes in that game. The first Baron steal from River was absolutely instrumental in doing that. But the problem was, it goes back to what you were saying. If Golden Guardians' biggest strength is slamming the early game, and you're Cloud9 and you're willing to call them on that, you draft a comp like this, you play it like this, and you make it so Golden Guardians could never play the Golden Guardians game.
And here's what I'll say. Expectations coming into this tournament were very low for Golden Guardians. There wasn't this massive belief that they would be able to dominate everyone at the tournament, but I think that at every opportunity they continue to surprise in more ways than one. And while I think that this roster does have areas to improve upon, considering the organization's achievements this year alone, I think that it's fair to say that Golden Guardians showed more than many were expecting.
This is for sure the most successful year for the Golden Guardians ever in the history of the organization. Really big stuff from them, big improvements, especially for Licorice. For Cloud9 though, now it's time to look forward.
Yes.
They're moving on. They've got a big, big task ahead of them in dealing with Gen G.
They beat one GG team, and now it's time for the next GG team. And Gen G is going to be a monster. Cloud9, they know they're gonna have to step up their game. I think a lot of people watching from home in Cloud9's first series against BLG was disappointed in some of the mistakes, some of the errors. They wanted to see him clean it up. And Cloud9 moving on in the lower bracket, they're still on that last life. They're gonna have to bring their A game. We got to see them manage to do that here in this fourth game, really bringing out this early game powerhouse of a comp, but these boys better have everything ready to go for that next matchup.
I'm so impressed with the level of execution from Blabber and Berserker. But before we get into that, we do, of course, have to say goodbye to Golden Guardians. The crowd at London has been fantastic, and so have they. Congratulations and commiserations. But we'll be seeing them in Summer Split, and I'm sure a lot of eyes will be on their performance as they return to the LCS.
It's as Kobe said, this is by far the best performance, the best split the Golden Guardians have ever had. You are talking about a team that when they joined the league back in 2018 had back-to-back 10th place finishes. And I say that specifically not to highlight the lows they've been at, but to showcase the climb that they've made from that point. It's a squad that was constantly left behind. You look at their iconic social media piece at the beginning of this year where they're just tired of hearing everybody doubting them. They're tired of hearing everybody just say, oh, Golden Guardians is 10th. They stepped up. They went all the way to 2nd in the LCS. They came here to MSI. They had a solid showing against JDG. They fought back against Cloud9, and unfortunately for them, their MSI run ends here. But I think they won a lot of people's hearts. They won a lot of people's fandom, just being able to step up and showcase that, yeah, a team that's scrappy, a team that doesn't have all the huge names, they can still come in and rumble.
Yeah, I mean, you summarized it perfectly, Flowers, and they will be going home, and as you rightly said, Cloud9 will be going up against Gen G, and Berserker and Blabber are the players that I'm keeping my eyes on going into that matchup, because I think that throughout this tournament, they continue to perform at a high level, and as long as they're given the resources and the tools to perform at that level, these are guys that can definitely compete at the top.
Yeah, super excited for what they're going to be able to pull out here. I know they pride themselves on a lot of creativity, too, so we'll see what sort of comps they can continue to cook up.
I mean, Berserker having that protect the president type of support from his team, like you were mentioning, Vedius. It's an 80 carry meta, and being able to trust in your 80 carry. We have seen some superstars so far at this tournament. Berserker's going to need everything he's got to meet these guys on an even level and continue to be that star player, that centerpiece for Cloud9 and their chances at moving forward.
Oh yeah, for sure. And of course, you can see some of the Cloud9 members setting up on stage. I'm sure that they're happy with their performance overall. The fact that they showed what they did in Game 4 was a commanding victory from C9.
And speaking of that interview, we are ready. So we're going to toss down to the stage where Lore will be interviewing Blabber and Fudge, excuse me, in our Verizon post-game interview. Oh.
What?
Thank you, guys. Blabber will be joining the desk a bit later, though, but I have Fudge and MNS with me to talk about this amazing victory. Dominant victory, I want to say. How would you describe this series? It was a lot of back and forth.
I would say the first 2 games were pretty dominant.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess game 2 was pretty close now that I think about it. I don't know. I feel like games at this point sort of just turn into like really like bad macro and mid game. So we like, I think first game we definitely played well, and I would say game 4 we definitely stomped. However, in the game 2 and 3 we were a bit sloppy. So.
But it goes to the predictions you gave me yesterday when I ran into you in front of the hotel. You were telling me, you can expect a pretty close series. What made you think it would go this way?
To be honest, we've been pretty bad. So we've been making a lot of mistakes, especially in mid-game. So I wasn't extremely confident against Golden Guardians because they've also looked, I think, a little bit better. So I expected a close series. I actually expected it to be closer than it was, but. Right. I'm glad that we were able to 3-1 them the same way that we did in NA.
You made it work in the end, and MNS, I think the draft from the last game was pretty interesting. A poke composition, which makes me wonder why you went for this choice, because Golden Guardians was active in the early game, and we know that when you play a composition like this, if you fall behind, it's really, really hard to stay in the game. Talk me through the choices here, and why you thought this composition was the way to close out the series.
First, I think we thought about our bottom is way better than enemy, so we never think our bottom will get behind. And then we just thought in Relic Sante, can't lose no matter what. So, yeah. Win mid, win jungle, win bottom, virus.
Top lane doesn't matter. Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say top lane doesn't really matter this MSI when you see the whole Sion going bot lane, double jungle, no one even showing up on the top lane. What do you think of your role right now, Fud?
Yeah, it kind of feels like you don't have too much impact in the game. You're sort of just playing tanks so that your like Aphelios Lulu, your Zeri, your Jinx can carry the game, which I'm okay with. I mean, you still have a good job in the game, and it's important to play it well in teamfights especially. But I would definitely not say that carries in general are too strong, but Bin has been looking really, really good whenever he's on carries and being very impactful. So I think if you are really good at those champions, you can make them work, but for the most part, tanks with the strong hyper carries are the best.
MNS, do you agree on that? Top lane is interesting right now.
Just Bin the goat, you know?
Fair enough.
I'm so sad about this mid situation. Always so.
Is it?
Always Nautilus, Xantis.
You don't like it?
He doesn't like playing dog mids.
Mid wasn't like this
Yeah.
few years ago.
But do you think it can change? Because when I talked to Knight earlier, we talked about the champion pool and how many champions have been playing mid lane. I think it was 21 or 22 champions. So it's pretty diverse in the
Yeah.
end. So why do you think we keep on seeing the same champions?
Sorry, I didn't hear.
That is fine.
One day, just I want to play mid Apelios.
Yeah.
That's all.
All right. Let's leave it there. MNS, it was your first international victory. I know that your interview back in NA was one of the most emotional moments that I've seen in League of Legends, honestly. But how does it feel to win back here internationally at MSI for the first time?
First, last year, I never thought about I'll be here for MSI.
Yeah.
Nice. And anyway, I realized after coming MSI, like after screaming other LCK and IPL team, I realized my tempo play and realized map status and play with teammates was not good. So I talked with my teammates lots of time. So yeah, I'm proud of me. Like, and thank you for wait.
Yeah, wait.
Thank you for my teammates, Lever, Jesper, Berserker, Bud, and my coaching staff. Like I still think sometimes I'm really bad, but my team trust me. No, don't talk. And thank you for supporting. Keep looking forward to us. We will get way better. Like, how many times we have? 3 days?
3 days.
Yeah.
3 days.
Yeah.
I think
3 days.
It is 3 days, yeah. And Chovy is next.
Yeah.
Chovy.
Chovy?
How do you feel about playing against Chovy?
Well, you want to do the interview, I'll let you do it, it's fine.
He's the good.
Okay.
It's going to be an interesting matchup for sure. We're going to have, as I said, Blabber on the desk a bit later. Is there anything you want to tell your jungler about his performance today, Fudge?
I think he needs to smite a little bit better. That's about it. But he played well. That's
fine. He can win you world championships in the end when you look at DRX last year. That's the story for another time. Guys, thank you so much for the interview. Congrats on winning again against the Golden Guardians. That's all for us here on the MSI stage. Trevor, back to you in cooldown.
One thing for MNS, and for everyone that's sitting here. London. Can we do a chant? You'll know. MNS. Thank you so much. I love hearing your interviews. It is amazing. The stage is now clear. You guys can leave. Thank you. For the fans that are still staying here in Copperbox and in London, please do stick around, especially that bro that's got the Blabbers Crabbers sign. I've got a Blabbers Crabbers fan joining here on the side. And yeah, it will make sense. Blabber will be joining us. So thank you to Blabber's Crabbers. We will be getting Blabber in a moment. The man who got the crabs throughout the course of this game. He's just doing an interview backstage. I'm still quick shot. Joined by Chat. I heard it too. Joined by Chat and Orgs. Let's start by talking about how they dominated this particular Siege. Chat, I'll come to you. Finals rematch played out pretty much as you're anticipating, and your prediction was correct, 3-1.
Yeah, as Fudge said, I knew the Golden Guardians was going to push them a little bit in the early game. They managed to close out one of the games. It was looking pretty dicey there with the 10,000 gold lead at 10 minutes and then also at 35 minutes, but they managed to pull it out in the end.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a risky comp to take where it's super volatile. If you make mistakes, you can fall really far behind. The gold lead is kind of almost fake data in a way, just because a lot of that's on the Nidalee, who doesn't scale nearly as well, but they did manage to finally bring it out. And I think given that Golden Guardian was such a threat in the early game at times, it made sense to be able to shut them down completely out of the game, at least for the first 15 minutes.
I do want to say quickly, at 2 minutes in game, and I'm reading directly from our preparation chat here, Nidalee picked this is going to game 5. That is an Orgs guarantee. I then bumped this. I was like, by the way, that's one of the largest gold leads we have ever seen. Orgs, what do you think? And your exact words were, gold difference of 40 doesn't matter. Oh, a team fight will happen. Nidalee's irrelevant. I think Nidalee gold leads are fake news. How do you feel now?
We were pretty close, right? We were like that Elder fight. If Golden Guardians had been able to navigate it a bit better, they could have won this game. I mean, it looks insane how big the gold lead was. And yes, Cloud9 did a great job to close it out, but considering how far ahead they were at 14 minutes, this game took a long time to resolve.
I gotta be careful what I say in Slack now.
Yeah.
Trying to out people on broadcast. But just, I think overall, I hope this is a confidence-building series for Cloud9. It was a little weird over the past 2 days, I feel like, for every region.
Yeah.
When they qualify for MSI, they're ready for international competition, but instead they play a rematch of their domestic finals, which didn't even get them here. They got them here before the domestic finals. So if anything, I hope that Cloud9 can use this to reconnect with what brings them confidence. And even if that is picking a hyper early game team composition, which requires some finessing to end the game, then do it. I just want them to play with as much confidence as possible against Gen G.
Well, listen, right now they have picked up that win. We are still waiting for Blabber to join us, and for the diehards that are in the venue, we have a little special treat as well for Blabber. But before we get to that and wrap up the Cloud9 story, let's take a second to celebrate Golden Guardians. I think, Flowers and the casters were talking about it, the most successful year for the organization yet. Phenomenal performance, power ranked 8th, if I remember you saying earlier, making the run to finals. I think they're one of the teams, one of many teams here at MSI that defied expectations. I realize it's a meme at this point, but they did. And they put up a good showing during the course of play-ins. They did ultimately have the same result as Cloud9, but Golden Guardians, they can walk away with their heads held high. First international tournament, first international showing in a lot of those individual players, kind of proving they still have what it takes to compete with the best in the world.
Yeah, I mean, Fudge even said they have improved since the finals where they faced against them, and I feel like they've shown a lot over the course of this tournament. Taking a game of BLG was actually a huge achievement during that play-in series, and a lot of people thought that maybe if game 1 had gone differently, we could have even seen them take the whole series. So as much as it is a goodbye to them, I think they should be proud of their performance.
Yeah, I think they should be proud. I think at the moment they'll be disappointed because for an org it was their first international showing, but for 4 of the players it wasn't. River, FLICKR, Huhi, Stixay, all pretty extensive international resumes. So they'll be very disappointed that this is the way they had to go out, but ultimately a successful first half of the year. Yeah,
definitely. I'm very excited to see what happens for the rest of the year. Hopefully they can make it back to Worlds. We'll find out, get another shot at some of those names. I do know that Blabber has just joined us, so Blabber, thank you so much. If you can just join us on set next to Jack. Jack, can you grab that headset for him?
Of course, man.
London, those who are still here, please put your hands together for Blabber. Also, for our directors and our production team, our Blabber's Crabbers fan is literally right behind us on the desk. So if that jib goes up high, you'll actually be able to see it. There we go.
Nice side.
That's it. Yes, that's
Hold
awesome.
it higher.
There we go. Side's going up. I'm sure the camera will grab it in a second. First of all, Blabber, thank you for joining us. Congratulations on the series. What's your immediate gut reactions and feelings after picking up the win, after the rematch, and how you're standing right now with a lot of diehard fans literally waiting to chat to you?
I mean, I'm very happy we won, but honestly, I think we should have won 3-0. And we played a bit sloppy. And also, I think we played a bit scared. But I am very happy that we were able to win today.
That's interesting, because were you more calm in this series than you were in your first series? Because for me, it looked like there was a lot of hesitancy in the first series that you played.
Hard for me to say. I think it's just harder because BLG are just a lot better, as well, right? So when you're worse, it looks like you're more pressured in the game.
Of course.
Like you're doing things that you normally wouldn't do. Like overgrouping for us in that series was a big problem. So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, for me personally, I felt the same, but maybe my teammates felt different.
I feel like a lot of the tournament has been about 80 carries and big team fights, and then in that final game, you opted to go for a really aggressive poke comp. What was the sort of discussion around changing the approach?
Well, this is the first game Nidalee has been open for us at MSI, and it's been a champ that we've practiced a lot. And yeah, so we wanted to show the team comp we could play with Nidalee, I guess, in that specific game.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. For everyone that is still in the venue, please make sure you can see a screen. A little bit like this will be coming up in a second. I have prepared a little bit of a special video package. This shouldn't come as a surprise, but if you can take a look at the screen there, Blabber, we're calling this Blabber's Crabbers. Now, for anyone that may not remember this, obviously, international debut against DFM didn't go too great. Now, I know and I'm sure you're probably sick of this play, right? But this is for a little bit of historical accuracy. Because while that was how the international sort of performance started, how it went today, as you mentioned, with the champion being available and open, getting both of the crabs today. Look at the reactions from the fans here in the venue. I mean, Jat's got them ready. what does it feel like when you see this, when you have this kind of like redemption arc on that particular champion on the biggest stage possible, and people are here celebrating it? Look, Travis science, my man. How do you feel?
I mean, it feels really good. I think the last MSI I had, even besides the Nidalee game, wasn't super great. I mean, Flash for the Crab, I don't know if it was Nidalee specific. Might have done that on a different champ too, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, you know, you live and you learn, and glad I was able to have a good Nidalee game this time around.
Part of the reason I wanted to bring it out as well is the last time that you did play Nidalee was summer 21. It's been a long time. It's been a while. We're seeing on the international stage. London, can you put your hands together for Blabber and Nidalee and for the Crabs, please? Thank you so much. Listen, I just want to ask one more question looking forward now. You've taken down one team with 2 Gs in the name. You're going to be facing up against another team with 2 Gs in the name. So, like, by transitive properties, you seem to have, like, the ability to beat. I mean, you've beaten GG twice in best of 5s, right? Like, how are you feeling about the Gen G matchup?
I'm pretty confident going against Gen G. I mean, not saying that we're the favorites or anything, but I think that we've been doing all right in our scrims so far, and I think that I just want to have a good showing versus Gen G. You know, I felt like we didn't play very well in our BLG series. We kind of got stomped, even though it might have felt like the games were close. I didn't feel like we were winning at any point in those games.
I appreciate the honesty.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll change against Gen G.
We'll find out. Can I take a look at the bracket really quickly, and I'll get Jats and Orcs to talk about some of the other matches as well, maybe get some predictions. But we do know, obviously, the next rounds. T1 JD, I think on Tuesday we should be playing the G2 BLG series, if I recall correctly. But I mean, Orcs, taking a look at the remaining matches, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like T1 JDG is going to be super exciting. I do think, based on what we've seen so far, T1 have the edge, but that could honestly go either way. And like, the AD carry matchup is so hyped right now.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what I want.
Okay, right, yeah. What do you want?
Okay, so I want JDG to beat T1. But it's because of this reason. It's because then C9 can beat Gen G. I want G2 to beat BLG, so then C9 can beat BLG, then T1, then JDG, and then no one can doubt.
Oh, so that's what you want. That's what you want.
Okay. Right, okay.
That sounds good.
Sounds easy, right? Simple.
I'll tell you what will happen later. That's what I want.
Okay, listen, I will get one prediction. Can I get you guys to predict what you think is going to happen in the G2 series? G2 taking BLG. I know I just heard you're saying, right? So you're hoping G2 beat LG, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that series?
I think G2 could win. But
if G2 beat BLG, okay, I super apologize about this, but I may not get this opportunity. If G2 beat BLG, and technically BLG beat you, does that mean EU greater than NA?
Well, if we beat Gen G and Gen G beat G2.
Oh, that is definitely, there's no doubt about it. But come on, London, give that a cheer.
Good answer.
Yeah. G2 taking on BLG.
You know, I think BLG have looked a bit weaker, especially compared to JDG. I think G2 have shown a lot more strength at this tournament compared to domestically, but I still think it's going to be a BLG win.
All right, BLG win. Okay, so listen, quick reminder that BLG versus G2 will start at 1 p.m. local time on Tuesday. So the weekend shows that starts a little bit earlier. It's 1 p.m. BST. Blab, I'll give you one last chance. There's a few fans here. There's thousands watching at home. Do you have anything to say to your fans, to your supporters, just as before we say goodbye?
Thanks for coming, guys, today. And thanks to everyone watching. And I like the Blabber's Travis stuff, even though it was a meme before, you know.
That means a lot. That means a lot.
I kind of like live with the meme now, you know. It's been so long, so.
You have rewritten history, right? The way it started, how it's going, you're like the Chad meme, you know, like the glow up and whatnot. Blabber, thank you much. London, thank you so much. That does it from us here in the Copper Box Arena. We'll be back on Tuesday for more MSI with BLG versus G2, and I'm casting it. I'll see you all then. Oh, side note, Cha 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 was robbed. It was the best Eurovision song, and they should have won it all. Cha Cha Cha.
Yavelio's so damn strong. He's got the backup. You're just walking into him. What's the rule, BLG? I think it's green, white, don't fight. But they're going to try to make it anyway. Knight over the backside, huge damage. Ruler coming in. It's massive, my God. Been out of mana completely. Konami in the backside. They find one, but it's right into the ult of Ruler. And over the wall. Ready to get things started immediately on, gonna get the fight kicked off. They're trying to get to the back line, they're trying to take Ruler out already, but they're still standing, but no, finally cut down. They're finding the fight, Bin finding two. JDG have to retreat. 369 giving his life, diving in to try to keep the rest of the team ready, but the charm is massive, the parry is huge, the shutdown is there. It's Ruler taking over the fight. Yagao running for his life, the zap gonna connect. The shutdown is everything. JDG have found the angle, they have found the fight. In a world of ADCs, one man is king. It is Ruler. Ruler still untouched. Yagao gonna land the hook, but the ball isn't quite there. Bin finally leaping in. They're trying to kill him, but they can't do it. Ruler, are you kidding me? JDG might just be the best damn team fighting team in the world. JDG reminding us why they are the best best team in the LPL, but MNS is coming around from above. He goes in, he looks for a both. First blood over onto Stixay, and who he both. A double kill.
Look at AD, Don't listen. Look here, guys. But just count. Pego. Okay, viene.
Puts down the extra outer turret up on top side. Well diving in. MNS. Saying who he pushed up to the turret now. As Sven wants to go in here with a quickness. Beautiful wild growth from who he. Works out well. Waits till the rocks disappear to start using his dashes there in his ulti. Flashes away from the seismic shove. Gory is taken low. Berserker wins the fight. He throws the cast back as Berserker beautifully spaces out Huhi and shows why he's the best AD carry in North America. Berserker, he's been caught. Licorice with the flash to engage. Licorice just won this game for the Golden Guardians.
Gory sees it, double teleport to defend.
Double teleport, protect AD carry, and MNS goes all